Okay guys, so today we're going over the war in Asia and the Pacific. Like I've told you before, World War II was a two-front war for the United States where we were fighting in Europe and we were fighting in Asia or the Pacific. Right, so the first thing is the Bataan Death March of 1942. The Philippines faced invasion. We saw a map of China and we know that the Japanese had taken over parts of China and how close the Philippines was to that region. So the United States and Filipino, they surrendered to Japan. And they were forced to walk this Bataan Death March, right, from the Bataan Peninsula, which you can see here. It says Japan forced prisoners to take a 60-mile march through the jungle. Prisoners of war faced starvation, disease, exposure to sun, and no water. About 5,000 Americans died. Either they were bayoneted, shot, or beheaded. So that's the Bataan Death March of 1942. Now the war turns against Japan. In 1943, Japan, that tide turned. It's known as something as island hopping. Island hopping is liberating Pacific islands from Japanese control. So the United States went to these islands and liberated them. Now again, the Navajo code talkers had a significant role in the war, especially in the Pacific. They created an undecipherable code to communicate that could not be broken by the Japanese. It was unwritten and complex, and they transmitted messages by telephone and radio in a code that Japan was unable to break, hence undecipherable. Right? Those are the Navajo code talkers. Now, the Battle of Midway is going to be the turning point in the war in the Pacific. Just like D-Day or the Battle at Normandy is going to be the turning point in Europe, the Battle of Midway is the turning point. This is where the United States starts to win the war in the Pacific against Japan. Japan wanted to surprise attack us at Midway, however, the United States decoded that and knew the surprise was coming. The United States destroyed 4 of Japan's aircraft carriers, ending their strength in the Pacific. And here you can see where Midway is, right? Now, island hopping is going to go the United States because this is our naval base here, and we were able to rebuild quite quickly. So here you're going to have that island hopping technique or strategy that we used from the Battle of Midway, and then you go in as you slowly but surely get to Japan, right, the main island. Now, Chester Nimitz, he was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, right, Pacific Fleet, so that's for the Navy. He commanded the Battle of Midway, right, so again, Chester Nimitz, just think N for Navy. Now you have Douglas MacArthur, and we're going to see him even in the Cold War. It says General of the U.S. Army in the Pacific. He was joined with Nimitz to campaign in the Solomon Islands in Guadalcanal, right, which would be this part right here. Where is it? Right here, okay. He drained Japan's resources, he retook the Philippines and Guam, and he captured Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and they were used as bases to launch attacks. So that is Douglas MacArthur. Now this is one of the famous photos also from World War II, and this is at Iwo Jima. Okay, Iwo Jima. Now the next one that you see here is going to be George C. Marshall. He was the Chief of Staff. He was the organizer of victory. He worked closely with FDR, and he built up and supplied an army of 8 million men, right? 8 million men. He helped oversee the creation of the first atomic bomb, right? The first atomic bomb. All right, if you have any questions, you let me know.